Okay, so back when The Boy came out on DVD, yeah, I got it from a video. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe. I don't know, but I bought this. Very interesting because the trailers look interesting, and the first time I watched The Boy, I was a little iffy on the ending, because that was supposed to be that it was possessed. It was a possessed doll movie. But the ending, spoiler alert, for The Boy, no, it wasn't possessed. It was actually Brahms is still alive, and the real kid Brahms, who supposedly died in a fire, he's still alive, living in the house, controlling the doll, whatever. And I was a little iffy on the ending. But when I did my review for this movie about a year ago, I said, I believe, that the ending changed for me. I think that the twist in this is a great twist. But, like I said, at first, I didn't particularly care for it. Now, I remember when I first watched this, I was watching reviews. There are people who are iffy. When this came out, there was a mixed reception for it. There was, people who really loved the twist. There were people who didn't like the twist because they thought it was supposed to be a possessed doll movie. So, they decided to make a sequel with the same director and the same writer. And they, I guess, from what after watching this movie, they must have taken the negative criticism of the ending of the last one and said, okay, they want a possessed doll? Let's give it to them. Even if it makes no fucking sense whatsoever in the context of the first film. We'll just retcon everything. Yeah. So, obviously I'm talking about The Boy, Brahms The Boy 2. That when this was announced, I'm like, okay, let's see where they can go with it. And I saw the trailers and I'm like, they're showing that there's a lot of supernatural stuff with the doll. I hope that's just a dream. No, it's not a dream. The trailer confused me because there was supernatural stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe it's out of context. Maybe it's a dream or something. No, it's not a dream. So the story of this is that this family, who is 2/3 American, living in England with a British father for some reason. Try to figure that out. Their house is invaded by burglars, and it is a real traumatic experience. So they decide to get away for a while and go to this, out into the countryside, which is actually the guest house of the big mansion from the first film. Little boy, Jude, hey Jude, finds the Brahms doll buried in the dirt, picks it up, they clean it off, and they do mention, oh, it looks like it's been put back together. So if you're thinking, oh, this could be a prequel, no, it's a sequel because it was put back together. And, yeah. And from the minute that they get this thing set up, I automatically can tell that it's a possessed doll, that it's an evil doll movie now. It's actually supernatural. And I'm sitting here watching this, and you think of the mirror, I'm like, oh, maybe it was just the mirror, but then there's more stuff happening, and I'm like, no, well, what are you doing? What is this? Like, when this came out, I heard a lot of negative stuff, like, oh, maybe it's not worth my time. But I saw this was on Netflix, because I really thought I should review this. I saw it was on Netflix. I gave it a chance, I guess. Oh my god. And it's not just, they just showed it was possessed, it'd be one thing. But they go out of their way to retcon the stuff from the first film. Like, if you really like the twist from the last film, do not watch this movie. Because you're going to get pissed like I did. Like I said, first time I watched this, didn't particularly care for the twist. Watched it again a second time. I caught it, I was seeing things from different light. It's already knew the twist. That's what you need to do with the first one. Is if you're not too sure about the twist, watch it again sometime later, having already know the twist. I think it works better. If you already know the twist, then you know it's coming. It's not that big of a, you know, shock. It's not as jarring when you think everything's supposed to be, and you start to notice things, especially at the beginning when they say, "Hey, make sure you put out the rat traps because they don't want rats in the walls." Oh, could someone be living in the walls? You don't catch that the first time. Second time watch, like, oh yeah, I didn't catch them talking about the rats in the walls. Yeah, but here, there's this caretaker guy, Joseph, and when we get to the climax, the boy has disappeared. I mean, Jude has disappeared. There's the things with it out. I'm not going to talk plot lines here because it's basically they go in. Jude finds the doll. He talks to it, even though he's traumatized stuff. He talks to the doll, and they think the doll is creepy. He starts following the doll's rules, all that stuff, and yeah, we got this caretaker Joseph, whose dog goes missing, and later they find it dead. Brahms killed it, and then there's this whole exposition dump when the mother sort of confronts the caretaker Joseph. Joseph basically retcons the entire first film. Basically, he explains that because she's going through articles about the doll. He basically explains it's been the doll the entire time. That the doll, influenced the kid Brahms from the first one to do all the stuff. And the doll was smashed after the first film. He found it. He put it back together. And then he buried it in the dirt. Because somehow Brahms knew they were coming to the house. And that the boy would find him. Ain't that a load of bullshit? Because first of all, they showed the shot from the end of the first film of real adult Brahms putting the doll together. They skillfully cut him off under the chin so you don't see the face of who's putting it back together, but according to this, it was Joseph. Bull fucking shit. If you watch the first one, you know it was the adult Brahms that put him back together. It's the same writer, the same director. And I know this was a response to the negative criticism of the twist. And saying, okay, we'll make it a supernatural doll this time. But that's honestly a knee-jerk reaction that should have had more thought to it. This is absolutely unnecessary retconning for no reason. And yes, you could also say they were at a bit of a, it had a big of a problem because where do you continue from that? Well, how about this? How about after what happened, they found the Hillshire's dead, someone, a nephew or someone, inherits the Hillshire house, moves in with his family, the kid finds the doll. The kid starts doing what the doll says, even though the rest of the family thinks it's weird, right? And they go through. Like, why couldn't the dad in this be the Hillshire's nephew? And they move into the house. The kid finds the doll. The kid starts interacting with the doll. And then they find that like the mother or something finds the secret passageways. And they find that the boys, the adult Brahms is living in the house. There you go. I just made it simple for you, didn't I, William Brent Bell? Instead of having to retcon everything to do a sequel, you could have done something very easily like that. But no, you had to retcon it, a perfectly good twist from the first film, and it now means nothing because you retconned everything. And it even makes less sense because within the context of this retcon that you presented us with, what the fuck happened to the adult Brahms? We are to assume that after the doll was destroyed, he was still alive. Or if that was Joseph that rebuilt the doll at the end of the first one, did the real Brahms die and Joseph buried him? Or did the real Brahms leave because the spell was broken? He destroyed the thing. Now, I could believe that that was Joseph at the end if he wasn't wearing the Brahms mask. That was obviously Brahms. And here's another thing. If you had casted someone in their late 30s, early 40s, instead of someone who's obviously almost 60 years old, like the actor in this, who's also in The Witch, he was pretty good, by the way, you could say Joseph was actually Brahms, and they only called the kid Brahms because it was the doll. That would have made a lot more sense. You know what I mean? If the parents, the Hillshires, were forced to call the kid Brahms because they played with the idea that he's trying to become one with the kid and put his soul or whatever it is inside this kid's body. What if he did that with the kid who could be Joseph, but Brahms could only be in his 40s at this point? Maybe his late 30s, early 40s. Not the same age that Ralph McInnes is, okay? Or Ralph Ennis, whatever his name is in this movie. You could have messed with that. You could have said that Joseph was the original Brahms, but his real name was Joseph, and the doll forced his parents to call him Brahms, and it took over his body, and he was free. He was allowed to be free and roam around as himself as long as he found another host for Brahms. That would make even more sense. But no, you just throw this out there into the ether and expect us to believe it. And what's more, as I've read up on Wikipedia, which take out with a grain of salt, but apparently they're working on a third film that will bring back their adult Brahms. Like, why didn't we? I don't know. When some dumbass on YouTube can come up with better ways to shove in that the doll is supernatural the whole time, you know. Or basically gave you two ways to do it. If you wanted the doll is supernatural the whole time, do it the second way. If you want to continue from the plot thread you actually gave us at the end of the first film, do it the first way, where the people move into the house, the kid finds the doll, and it's still the adult Brahms living in the house, but he's trying to control what's going on with this family now, which is like the nephew of the Hillshires, his cousin, whatever. Or the second one, the second option is that you could do it's a spooky doll, make the caretaker the original Brahms, whose real name was Joseph, and he'll explain that his parents were forced by the evil doll to call him Brahms because it fused with him, and when Cole broke it, he was released. Because they do that in this film too. The dad smashes the doll and the kid snaps out of it. But then again, that doesn't make any sense because Cole smashed the doll, and that's when Brahms shows up to kick ass. But maybe, adult Brahms would have been under the doll's control for way longer than Jude was. Jude was only a few days, a couple weeks maybe. Brahms, years. So, they could have handled it way better. I've been thinking about doing a series where I fix bad horror movies, and I feel like fixing Brahms the Boy 2 could be something. The Gallows is another one, although The Gallows will be turned into a 2-part film, if that was the case, because I have ways to do that. We'll see. We'll see if I do that, but I come up with ideas to fix movies. This could be one, my idea. I'd have to work on a more plot-based plot, on the plot a little more. But my general idea is what the second option was. If you want to do that, it's supernatural, you know. But yeah, this seems like useless retconning for no reason. And for that, this movie can rot in hell. Or I'm sorry, fry in hell. This movie can fry in hell. You have a great twist at the end, and it's just at the end of the first one, I should say, and this one just throws that away to satisfy those who complained that there wasn't supernatural. And that's one thing. But I think even the people who complained it wasn't supernatural are going to watch this and be like, wait, no, because that even though we said we wanted it to be supernatural at the end in the first one, you already showed us it wasn't, and now you're showing us that it was. Even to those people, it's not going to make any sense. So you're not playing to anyone's preferences here. Because those who want it to be supernatural aren't... Those who loved the twist in the first one are going to hate this. And those who did not like the twist and wanted it to be supernatural in the first one still won't like it because you already presented them you already went the direction of it wasn't supernatural, and now you're saying it is, and it's not going to please anyone. So, yeah. But yeah, it's a fry in hell. This movie's so frustrating and boring. I kept falling asleep. There's just a lot of no. So what are your thoughts on Brahms the Boy? Do let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.